This is a strategy for ordinary people. This is not a strategy for financial types or Wall Street types. For the strategy that I pursue, the ultimate person to pursue the strategy would be a private investigator, right? That's the mindset that I try to
So it's the reverse of what everyone's been told. Everyone thinks you have to be the smart money on Wall Street to do right, but you're saying that's actually a disadvantage.
It's very hard for someone on Wall Street to really understand and pursue this strategy because their mind just doesn't think that way.
What I'm about to tell you defies all logic. And yet today, I'll offer you definitive proof it's very real and can earn you as much as 15 times your money on each and every trade you make. I didn't believe it either at first, but there I was just a few weeks ago, sitting inside the amazing home of the man many call Wall Street's worst nightmare. A man that used to deliver pizzas, wash cars, and fold clothes at the mall for a living. He has no financial education to speak of. He's never worked a day of his life for a bank or brokerage. He's got no insider contacts whatsoever, and yet, in the worst economy since the Great Depression, he turned a $20,000 nest egg into over $2 million. Not only that, but in recent months, that figure's actually climbed to over $4 million. We tracked his success for months, but he refused to share his secrets until undeniable proof of his strategy's power existed. And once his gains had been independently audited and verified, he finally agreed to meet. So now, through an exclusive partnership with Wall Street Daily, he shares the shocking truth about how he pulled off the unimaginable, the secret to making as much as 15 times your money on every single investment, without hardly any work or experience at all, starting with the trade I'll offer you today. How is it possible? Well, instead of reading this, you read this. Instead of watching this, you watch this. Instead of surfing this, you surf this. And instead of spending countless hours searching for the next big investment, you do this. You might call it no work, all play, but it actually may be the simplest yet most effective investing strategy we've ever come across. Meet Chris Camillo. He's a husband and father of two who lives in Dallas, Texas. When we arrived at his home, I was amazed. One of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Texas. Priceless, original artwork on the walls, a children's playroom bigger than some apartments. How could a guy that not long ago was selling cars for a living have made over 100 times his money without any market experience at all?
Listen, there's nothing special in what I do. I'm just an ordinary person. I had a regular job, but listen, I'm not that smart. I realized I realized that this could be done, and I did it.
And that it was beating Wall Street to the punch on some of the most lucrative information of the last decade. Information that even the brightest financial minds in the world didn't have yet, but he managed to spot early. Info you have access to every single day of your life, whether you realize it or not. Chris calls it an information imbalance. He's used this, the one unfair advantage everyday folks have over financial professionals, to bank an independently audited and verified $2 million during the deepest depths of the recession.
An information imbalance is when you see something significant, and when I say significant, some piece of information that is likely to impact a company's revenue or earnings. That for whatever reason, the rest of the world, when I say the rest of the world, Wall Street and the investing public have not yet accepted that information as fact. So you see something that you say, hey, this information is going to have a material impact on this publicly traded company's earnings or their revenue, whether it be a new product, whether it be something that the CEO said that you think is going to impact their customers in a negative way. And for whatever reason, the market's not talking about it. When you read about it in the Wall Street Journal, they're not talking about it. The analysts aren't talking about it. That's an information imbalance. So when I invest, I look for one piece of information that would materially impact a publicly traded company that the market hasn't seen yet.
I asked Dr. Joel Morse, an economist and professor of finance at the University of Baltimore, his thoughts on this information imbalance and how it affects ordinary investors.
The imbalance is that we are free as we walk around the world to basically speed read the world and see in things we observe possible investment theses and then look for companies that might profit from those investment theses. The typical professional money manager may have assignments from his boss or her boss, and those assignments may prevent them from really participating in the instantaneous feedback loops that we as ordinary investors profit from.
So what kind of information could make you 15 times your money on every trade? Not the kind you'll find obsessing over stock charts, quarterly reports, or earnings announcements. And certainly not the kind pulled out of complicated, fundamental, or technical analysis. It's simple info you come across in your everyday life. Consider this. Back in 2008, The Hunger Games was a little-known young adult novel. But word of mouth among teens, especially on social media, fueled its popularity. And in 2009, Lionsgate Films, which hadn't turned a profit in 5 years and sat completely off Wall Street's radar, shockingly acquired the movie rights. At the time, their stock was trading for around just $5. But as the buzz began to grow and The Hunger Games turned into a worldwide phenomenon, Lionsgate's share price began an amazing climb, one that Wall Street never saw coming. Today, with the first 2 movies of the trilogy grossing over $1.5 billion worldwide, Lionsgate sits at over $30 a share. And if you knew anyone who was a Hunger Games fan and couldn't wait for the movie to hit theaters, well, you could have banked over 500% on your money.
And so can anyone do this? Yeah, if you go out and watch movies, you can do it, right? and I have examples for if you eat fast food, you can do it. Listen, one of my investments this summer, and I'm proud of this one, was in Wendy's. Well, Wendy's came out with a product called the Pretzel Burger. I think it was the Pretzel Bacon Cheeseburger at Wendy's. And this burger was, I think, the best-selling limited time product that Wendy's had come out with in decades. Had a monumental impact on Wendy's stock.
How many Wall Street analysts noted the pretzel bacon cheeseburger as a...
They did eventually.
Right.
The challenge is getting that information early. Before the pretzel bacon cheeseburger ever came out, you could have been on Twitter seeing hundreds and thousands of people in anticipation of it coming out because people just like pretzels. The concept of having a pretzel bun was a huge deal. Even before it came out, you could have realized it was going to be a big deal. When it came out, it was obvious it was going to be a big deal. But there's an opportunity for you to double, triple, quadruple your money in just a couple months by eating at a fast food place or listening to your friends when they're talking about how badly they want to try that new bacon cheeseburger, pretzel bacon cheeseburger, right at Wendy's.
This is the kind of buzzworthy intel that Wall Street craves, but is so bogged down in their numbers game, they're usually weeks, if not months behind the general public. And it's easier to find than you think.
Well, you spot a lot of trends as you go through life. You're shopping, you're parenting, you're dealing with colleagues, you're watching television. It's possible that sometimes the instantaneous nature of your human experience gives you the chance to pursue investment ideas immediately and in depth, unlike the Wall Street crowd, which may have certain institutional barriers to the acquisition of new investment themes or the follow-up on new investment themes. Those blinders do not constrain the individual investor.
And I realized that, wow, it could be days, weeks, or even months before people, even some of the largest Wall Street firms, get hold of that data. Well, we are the ones giving them that data, right? We're the ordinary people who serve in the opinion panels, right? that ultimately are the source of that extraordinarily expensive research. We're supplying that data. So why can't we just trade on it in real time, right? We see what's happening in real time. Most Wall Street firms are reading reports of data that's either days, weeks, or months old. So I realize that there's a window for ordinary people like myself if occasionally we're able to capture these important pieces of data in real time by just living our life to trade on that. In this methodology, information is the only thing that matters. Nothing wrong with fundamental analysis. It works for people, but that's not this methodology. When you come across a material information imbalance, that is all that matters. So, whether or not the market wants to assess a stock at 10 PE or 100 PE is irrelevant to me. The concept here is I have a nugget of information that the market doesn't have yet. And once this nugget of information gets introduced to the market, the stock is going to reprice itself based on that information, period. That's all that matters.
And speaking of what matters, just take a look at some of these opportunities Chris's strategy could have netted you. If you had friends raving about their new UGG boots, True Religion jeans, or Crocs sandals, you could have turned $1,000 into $750,000. Did you know someone whose child or grandchild couldn't stop playing Activision's Guitar Hero game? Then you could have tripled your money before Wall Street ever caught on. If you saw Michelle Obama on The Tonight Show mention how much she loves shopping at J. Crew, you could have banked 168% on their stock in the few months following. A keen eye on your local 7-Eleven's drink cooler could have led you to triple your money on Snapple in just 7 days. And taking a family vacation to Disney World could have led you to make 30 times your money, just like it did for one investor who followed Chris's strategy. Monster Beverages, Medifast, Whole Foods, even Apple. These information imbalance opportunities are everywhere. A shopping trip to Target, a night out at the movies, a few minutes chatting with friends. They're popping up every single day, every single hour really. And each and every one of them has the potential to return as much as 15 times your money, maybe even more if you catch it early enough. Chris Camillo has rung up a fortune of over $4 million to date doing just that. Now, in a moment, I'll tell you about one information imbalance I've discovered that can return you over 200% in just a few months. And remember, this strategy of Chris's works in any market, high, low, or completely flat. Requires practically no financial know-how or investment experience, and is fueled by everyday information you have flowing around you all day, every day. You don't need to be constantly on the hunt looking for new opportunities either. That's because the potential profits these trades produce could mean you only have to invest once a year to make an incredible amount of money.
I catch 1 to 2 a year. That's all I've ever caught was 1 to 2 a year. Now I'm starting to leverage social media now to hopefully capture more, 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 a year. But you really only need to catch 1 a year. If you can catch 1 every 2 years, you're doing really well. Because when you catch these, they're usually extraordinary moves in the stock. And if you're leveraging your money with options, and I teach how to do this in the book, it's possible to generate returns of 5 to 15 times your money with a single trade. And if you're generating returns of 5 to 15 times your money with a single trade, you don't need to trade every day. You can trade once a year. You can trade every 3 years, right? and have extraordinary returns in your portfolio. So you just have to understand that even capturing one of these opportunities a year is a big deal.
But how do you catch these pieces of info?
In fact, I always tell people are like, invest in what you know, right? Invest in what you know. I don't believe you should invest in what you know.
To invest in what other people know around you.
That's right. I think what you know has an inherent bias to it. It's more interesting to me to invest not in what you know, but into what you see through other people around you, ordinary people around you. If you have people like that in your life, people that just live life, that go to the mall, that watch movies, that eat out, that go to the fair and like to people watch and like to just live life and be part of the moment of life, If you know those people, or if you are one of those people, then you are ideally suited for this strategy that has worked so well for me.
After it took nearly a year to arrange this interview with Chris, I knew asking him to partner up with Wall Street Daily was a long shot.
All right, so I got to ask, you've been on Bloomberg TV, featured on CNBC, a lot of other financial media spots. I've highlighted you, and here you are, you're going to collaborate with a financial research firm, Wall Street Daily, for the first time. How come?
Well, when I looked at Wall Street Daily, one of the things that impressed me is that the theme of Wall Street Daily seems to be think differently, right? And I respect that, and it's similar to what I do, right? In terms of taking a different approach and believing that you can do something extraordinary, and you're not at a disadvantage, you're at an advantage because you're approaching the market differently, you're approaching the research differently. So I think it's a good fit, and I think it's a good fit for Wall Street Daily readers because it follows the same general theme of what I think your brand is all about at Wall Street Daily. So that's why I have a level of comfort, I think, working with some of your subscribers, and hopefully I think they'll enjoy the book.
Today, as part of this exclusive partnership, I'd like to send you a special Wall Street Daily only edition of Chris's phenomenal book, Outfoxed: How One Amateur Beat the World's Top Traders from His Couch. Absolutely free. In it, you'll learn each and every step of Chris's strategy and how you can start using it immediately for yourself. And when I say immediately, I mean from day number one. Because I have information concerning one small company that's absolutely a screaming buy right now. That is, according to virtually every metric Chris just revealed. This info is so far beyond Wall Street's line of sight that it could result in a $3,250 profit in a matter of weeks. Since this particular information imbalance is so great though, you have to act fast. Make no mistake, the market's elite analysts are on the hunt for companies like this at this very moment. Sooner or later, they'll locate it, but you could secure $3,250 or more before they do if you get this information now. So in addition to your free copy of Outfoxed, I'll also send you complete details on this stock so you can move quickly. And once you've learned Chris's complete information and balance strategy for yourself, you can begin grabbing opportunities just like this on a shockingly regular basis. For all the details on how to receive a free copy of Chris Camillo's best-selling step-by-step guide to this game-changing strategy, your free first recommendation I've used his strategy to discover, and a free download of my complete extended interview with Chris, where he reveals every last one of his shockingly easy profit secrets, just click the link below.